flag. And one nation. Greet your neighbors. Our reflection today will be offered by Tertiary.
Beth Weaver was on the schedule for today, but FYI, her father passed away suddenly, and so she's dealing with that, so we might keep Beth in thoughts. I was ready for an invocation, however, because the other day I saw some elderly gentleman here in the crowd who said, "Drew, so you like to give invocations? Here's one you ought to give someday." So I'm giving what he gave me. I'm growing older. Keep me from the fatal habit of thinking that I must say something on every subject. Release me from craving to straighten out everybody's affairs. Make me thoughtful but not moody, helpful but not bossy. Keep my mind free from the recital of endless details. Give me wings to get to the point. Seal my lips on my aches and pains. Love of rehearsing them is becoming sweeter as the years go by. Teach me the glorious lesson that occasionally I may be mistaken. Keep me reasonably sweet. I do not want to be a saint. Some of them are hard to live with, but a sour old person is one of the crowning works of the devil. Give me the ability to see good things in unexpected places and talent in unexpected people. And give me grace, O Lord, to tell them so. Amen.
Next, I got welcome Rotarians and guests. I'd like to show a quick video to show again how Youth Exchange transcends. Mark was an exchange student from Loudonville.
Hi, I'm Mark Gooch, and I guess I'm supposed to speak for 2 minutes or less about my experience as a Rotary exchange student. I was an exchange student in 1985 and 86 from the Loudonville, Ohio Club, and I ended up going to Sweden. When I arrived there, I didn't even know how to say hello in Swedish. Fortunately, I was able to become fairly fluent in Swedish during my time there, and that was extremely helpful in terms of being able to communicate and interact with people. It greatly enhanced my experience. I lived with one family. I know in some countries you may live with several families. I had a great experience with my family. I attended high school while I was there, and their high school is a little bit different than what we have here in the United States. I was able to visit a variety of places, the coast of Sweden, the northern part of Sweden. I even had the opportunity to travel to the Soviet Union as it was then known. I learned to ski there. I picked cloudberries, which are unique to that area. I went from the sauna into the snow and back into the sauna, and I saw and helped hunt for moose while I was there. I would say that my experience was the best education of my life, and I still draw on my experiences while I was there. The cost is relatively inexpensive for what you get out of it. The cost of a plane ticket, administrative fee. While I was there, my host club provided me with a small monthly stipend, so I had some pocket money. And I just highly recommend the program. And if I haven't already said it, it was the best education of my life.
Okay, we'll have President Lynn and the Secretary's report.
Thank you, President Allen. We're going to start with a presentation. We've been doing a presentation of Paul Harris Fellow Awards and our service awards. And Tom Hill was not able to be with us last week, so we'd like to present Tom with his Paul Harris Fellow +2 award. So congratulations, Tom. Dee Vita has guests to introduce from the podium.
I have two guests. Dave Reynolds, would you please stand up? Retired doctor and currently on the board of the Worcester Community Hospital. He's here to check on whether Scott Boyce is telling the board the same things that he's telling us.
It's my brother.
My second guest is Joe Luckery. Joe, if you please stand, the regional president of PNC Bank. Joe's been our banking officer for almost 25 years now.
We have three announcements from the podium: Doug Druschel, Robin LaRue Beasley, and John Scott. And while they are coming forward, I just wanted to let you know, thank you for electing your nominating committee. And also, you see up there our current slate of officers, or current officers and our current board members. And the nominating committee will bring back a slate of new board members and president-elect for your vote later this month or early in November. So thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here to invite Rotary for an evening at the Lyric Theater on October 20th. There are sign-up sheets on the table. If you're coming and you're bringing a guest, would you put the number of people? If you signed up last week, you don't need to sign up again. I just am recycling the paper. So there'll be no noon meeting. It's from 5 to 7. There'll be hors d'oeuvres, there'll be popcorn, wine, and there'll be a tour, and then there'll be movies showing short movies in Theater 1. So we'd love to have everyone join us October 20th from 5 to 7 at the Lyric. Thank you.
That's as close as I get to fitting into my uniform right now, so way too many carbs. Just a reminder that on November 10th, we're going to be celebrating our annual Veterans Recognition. And so I just want to give everybody a heads up about that date. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great program. Starting next week, you'll see these slips on the table. These are for you or family member to be recognized in our program. So next week you'll see these on the table, and then if you can get them back to me or Secretary Lynn, or take it with you and scan it and send it back to me in an email, that would be great. Thank you very much.
In 1968, when even Tony Biggio was young, a Cleveland radio station held a contest, said that whatever high school in their listening area raised the most money for, I believe it was the Heart Association, would get a concert from Mitch Ryder, who was then one of the hottest acts in rock and roll music in the 1960s, 70s. And Worcester High School ended up winning that contest, and for some reason Mitch Ryder didn't show up. And nobody knows why. This radio station knew about that and sent some band X. And it's been kind of a standing joke among those of us who were around at that time of Mitch Ryder not showing up. And a while back, a group of people said, well, let's just see if we can get him to come now. And lo and behold, a person I know reached out to his agent and said, and told the story, said he didn't remember the story, but he said, that's a great story and I'm coming. And so on your table are a couple flyers. I have extra if anybody would like to take one, if you want to post these at your work or whatever. But he's coming October 25th. He's going to perform at the Performing Arts Center at the high school, which is where he would have performed at the old high school in 1968. And $30 is practically free for a ticket. He's coming at a reduced price. And if you really want to have fun, for $75, you not only get that ticket, but you can go to a meet and greet and say hello to Mitch Ryder and have a picture taken with him at the Lyric. This is a fundraiser for the Lyric, so you have two chances to go to the Lyric that week. And hope to see you there. Anybody that has any questions, wants any more information about that, please feel free to see me. And if you would like more flyers to post somewhere at the place of business or the lake, please let me know. I've got some with me today. Thanks.
Welcome to our guests, Dave, Joe. Hope you enjoyed today's program, the Fellowship of Wooster Rotary. We hope to see you again at future meetings. So I'm going to introduce Dee Vizia, who will introduce our speaker.
So when Scott Boy showed up here, he said, Greg Long was supposed to introduce you. But he said, I know, he told me that he couldn't make it. Well, Greg Long forgot to tell me, so I am the pinch hitter, and I will introduce Scott. Scott Boyce is the president and CEO of Worcester Community Hospital, bringing 26 years of dedicated service to the organization. Before his promotion in June 2024, he served as CFO, later adding COO to his title. Prior to joining the hospital, Scott spent nearly 9 years as Director of Finance at Akron General Medical Center and 3 years with Ernst & Young. Scott holds both a BS in accounting and an MBA from the University of Akron and is a CPA. He has also completed the Ohio State Lean, L-E-A-N, Lean Manager Administrative Certification Program and the QHR Leadership Academy Program. Deeply committed to this community, he has served on and chaired numerous boards, including hospice and palliative care of Greater Wayne County, now Life Care Hospice, Green Local Board of Education, the Viola Starchman Clinic, and the Wayne Economic Development Council. Scott has been married to Susan Boyce for 39 years, and they have 3 adult children and 2 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Boyce, CEO of the Worcester Community Hospital.
Sorry, I gotta get my $8 readers. My son-in-law's an eye doctor, so that's actually funny if you knew that. So Shelly asked me if I knew anybody in the audience. I said quite a few, and I think 1 or 2 actually like me. I always appreciate the opportunity to come and speak, and this is our second chance at it this year. So we feel extra blessed that it's really a privilege to be invited to this group. And when I think of community, I really think of Rotary as a great example of community and being passionate about our communities, which is why I also included on my first slide that our community hospital is your hospital, because really we are kindred spirits when it comes to a sense of community. I also wanted to recognize healthcare has become so specialized, and I think you'll see that in what we're trying to do with our project that we got going. But we have 3 physicians at least who have been on our medical staff over the years when they actually were an ENT, Dr. Mather, an OB-GYN, Dr. Baer, and then internal medicine, Dr. Reynolds. This is shamelessly sucking up a little bit. But when they were on our medical staff, they not only did their specialty, they also covered our ER for general ER. So healthcare was so much different, and the dedication to do that is really quite remarkable when you think about it compared to some of the negotiations I have now with what the breadth of services folks are willing to do. So first off, Angela politely scolded me after my last presentation, Angela Rincon, that it was a good update, Scott. I mean, it was okay. She didn't say it quite like that, but you didn't spend enough time on the ER project, or what we have been calling PACE, or Patient Access and Emergency Services Center. And we call it PACE, and it violates every Hooked on Phonics rule. So, it's been our construction name. So when we do things, we always call it, like when we did the outpatient pavilion, which is now our cancer center, physician offices, we call that a very fancy name, the North Hospital Expansion. So we called it the North Hospital Expansion throughout that construction phase. And then we decided, we need to name it. The hospital has really entered a new age with Angela positively, that we had a really generous gift given to us by Richard and Donna Smetzer. And we are going to have their recognition on the building. And so we were referring to this project as a Richard and Donna Smetzer Emergency Center. So we're really excited about it. And really very simplistic. I have Shelly Huff, who has been at our hospital almost 11 years. Or just over 11 years. She's our chief nursing officer, but so many of the departments report to Shelly that I added chief operating officer to her title in recognition. And she's going to share the majority of this presentation with me. But really, what is this building? It's a new main entrance of the hospital. It is hopefully easy access. We're trying to bring services down to the front door so that you don't have to meander your way. Even a hospital of our size is very confusing, trying to navigate throughout the organization. So we're trying to bring as much that people come into the building for quick hitters to the front door. So that's what it is, but it is also an ER. It's a brand new ER. And our aspirational goals when we started out on this project were really identified by these goals. So we had, we do facility planning in great detail every 10 years or so. And then we work through the plan. This ER project is the last phase of the last facility plan that we did. And we really started the planning pre-pandemic, but if you can be blessed by the pandemic, if you can be blessed by the pandemic, we were, because it had us pause and allowed us to rethink what we were doing on this project. So we brought all our teams together, the nurses, the physicians, community members, to try to assess what are we trying to accomplish before we build this new ER. So we wanted to move our most commonly used services to the front door. We wanted to increase patient, visitors, and staff efficiency of that, thus the PACE name, the patient access. So that was an internal name that we used to really guide us to do better. You cannot do better with just bricks and mortar. You got to do better in so many different ways, whether it's technology, how do we get on the schedule, how do you follow up care, all those kind of things we want to get better at. We use this project as really the energy to make it a broader thing. So not just the bricks and mortar from this, but so that was one of our earlier aspirational goals. We wanted to improve flow through the building so that it's easy to get to the things that you need to get to. And as I've crossed the great threshold of 60 years old, so I don't think Doug met me as the elderly man for his prayer, but as I've crossed this threshold, I realized you start accessing healthcare more and more. So the stress of accessing it as a patient is so much different than the stress of me going to work. And it's worse because you have all these unknowns that you're coming into the system with. So the last thing we want to have to add to the stress is you can't find out where you're going. So we want to improve that. We also, one of our goals, and the Lean Six Sigma certification that I was able to get, I wish it was on my physique, but it was on the Toyota Lean Six Sigma. How do you take waste out of the system? One waste, of course, we all know this, is transport waste. So our ER is on the other side of the campus. You're 3 football fields away from our patient tower and some of the services. So one of our goals is how do we take that transport waste out of our system? So we wanted to move this project closer to our patient tower and our services. And then, of course, our staff, rightly so, our existing ER has no sunlight, no greenery. They're in a contained area. So we wanted, if we could, to provide increased lighting for the staff and some green space. So why do we need an ER? And I think that's a good question because we're putting a sizable investment into the ground for the hospital. So we need an ER because our current ER is landlocked. And when I say landlocked, it's more building locked. There's nowhere to go. So in our building, if we wanted to expand our ER, make it better, one, it'd be hard to do by keeping your ER open and renovating, but we have nowhere to go. We're surrounded, so we're building locked, so to speak. Also, our ER was renovated back in 2005. It was actually built in its area in 1992. So we were seeing only like 15,000 ED visits a year, and now we're up around 31,000 consistently. We hit a peak of like 33,000. And our consultants are telling us we need to get ready for that to go up 10% as I call it the silver tsunami. I didn't make it up. But as the boomer generation is coming through the healthcare system, they said for us to anticipate that we're going to have increased ER utilization, increased inpatient stay, even as trends defy it and more is moving outpatient, just by the sheer demographic wave coming through the system. So we knew we need to do something because our plant is not able to handle any more visits right now. We unfortunately routinely have chairs out in the hallway, lined up the hallway, when we get peak times in our ER. So we really have a need. Our ER is so important because 65% of our patients come through that access point. So we want to get it right. We need to get it right. Our patient needs have really changed over the years, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the behavioral health challenges with society, with our patient population has increased immensely. We want to take care of those patients to the extent it's in our capability in a dignified way. So one of our goals is how do we improve our space that we're able to care for our ER patients who have behavioral health needs in a dignified way. And then really healthcare is changing. So if you think of everything, everybody has not everybody, I do, so I'm cool. So I have a smartwatch, I tracked a lot of health indicators. I have a phone, so much has changed. Telemedicine wasn't contemplated when our ER was last renovated. So we want to make sure that we're planning for the future as best we can. And we hired a consultant who is a national ER planner to help us with that thinking. And then the post-pandemic pause is we don't want to overreact to the 100-year pandemic. But the reality is the world is such a tight place now with travel and everything. We want to make sure that we appropriately react with safety precautions with our new project. So we're really excited about it. And with that being said, I want to turn it over to Shelly, or somebody's going to go to the next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Shelly, who's going to go into greater detail on our project. Should I hit escape? There you go.
Here it is. You just go down.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. So Scott kind of gave you the why of our project. I'm going to go into a little bit more of the why, but then I'm going to talk about actually what it's going to look like and what's going to be in it so that hopefully you won't need to go there, but if you do, then you'll know what to expect. So the first thing is it does have a big impact on our community. Obviously it's going to be improved patient care if you have a modern, well-equipped facility. Disaster preparedness, as Scott talked about a little bit of with the pandemic. We're not building this ER, specifically just for a pandemic. However, we did a great job during the pandemic, having to do things on the fly, but we're building this so that it's much more pandemic friendly, if you will, so that we have better access for if and when, hopefully that'll never happen again. But if so, we'll be more prepared. And like you stated, increased capacity, we're clearly outgrowing our space. Enhanced accessibility, which he talked about, that's part of our name with the PACE, and updated facilities. So much new equipment and technology has come into play since our ER, was built. So we really needed to accommodate all that. And then, the community health improvement, another way that this benefits the community is if we have state-of-the-art equipment and facilities, we're going to be more able to recruit top quality physicians and nurses to want to come and work here. If you have outdated facilities, people are not as likely to want to come. This will allow us to get continue to get high quality physicians into our system. So what all is going to be different in this emergency department? First of all, like Scott mentioned, we're going to have dedicated behavioral health space. I want to make sure that I'm clear that we are not going to have a behavioral health unit. We are not going to have an inpatient unit, but what we are going to have is a dedicated area that's slightly separated. We're kind of calling it a pod where we can better care for patients who have behavioral health issues in a more humane way. And also it keeps, there's a little bit of separation between that and the main emergency department. So it's less disruptive. And when I talked about like the pandemic and having space like that, the multi-use dirty room is a new concept in this emergency room. We call it the mud room for short. What that is it's a separate entrance into the ER that if someone is contaminated with some type of chemical or, God forbid, I was going to say Ebola, or something crazy like that, or even coronavirus, We would be able to have these people come into a completely separate entrance. Hopefully squads would be able to notify us ahead of time so that they are not coming in and contaminating the main emergency department. This is equipped with, showers and things like that, and we're able to take care of a couple of patients and would be able to congregate patients in that area if we needed to. It has a completely different type of triage setup that's going to be much more efficient than what we currently have. And we're going to have discharge or results lounges where when you're done, and so you don't have to sit there in your room and stare at the walls while you're waiting for like final paperwork. We have 4 discharge lounges that you can go and sit in and just sit comfortably and not be sitting in a room with a gown and everything else. You can actually get back in your clothes and go wait for your results or paperwork. We're also going to have designated telehealth area for providers because we use telehealth quite a bit in our emergency department, more than you would really think. Telestroke, teleneurology, we have tele-ICU now, and several different services that we're looking to add. We have telebehavioral health for pediatrics, and we're looking to add that for adults too. We also are going to add observation beds. Those are beds that people can stay in for up to 23 hours. So if you're not going to be a full admission, you just need like extended observation time. We did build 4 observation beds, and we're hoping to increase our pediatric population and enhance our collaboration with Akron Children's Hospital on that. This ER allows a lot more flex space because, like Scott said, when we get really peak times, we're busy and we have chairs lined up in the hallway. This space will allow us to use some of these other beds, to be able to flex into those beds instead of having to put patients in the hallway. So we think this is going to be much more user-friendly for the patients in our community. It's going to have a completely separate new EMS entrance, which right now they're kind of side by side. They'll be on different sides of the building. And then we're definitely looking to enhance our security. Unfortunately, in this day and age, that's something we really need to look at because it's people are getting acting out more and more in all over in all different types of businesses, but in the hospital in particular. A few other things this addition is going to have. So the addition is actually bigger than it needs to be because we built space for the future. So our imaging department, all of our X-ray and CAT scans and everything is going to move to the new pace eventually a couple years down the road. So we already built that shell space in preparation for that move. It will have CAT scan, X-ray, and ultrasound right from the beginning, day one, because the ER needs those to function, and you don't want to have to be taking patients all the way across the campus. And then there will be a connector to the main hospital, and what that does is, so we don't have patients crossing the main hallway of the hospital so that where patients and visitors are. There's going to be a connector that goes up and over, and patients can come down on the back of the hospital on the backside so that they're not out in public transportation areas. And it's more private and practical for that, so that you're getting out of the main flow of traffic. So this just shows a quick overview of what this is going to look like. So the light gray is our existing hospital, and then the addition is the dark gray. And the part that attaches directly to where the main entrance of the hospital used to be, that is going to be the future imaging space. So the part that is, the same direction, parallel to the hospital, where it says proposed addition, that's where the new pace is. And you can see where the ambulance entrance and the ED entrance and the main entrance is all going to be there, separated but close together. And where you see the big red plus sign, that's where our new helipad is. We built that in advance of knowing this addition was coming. We relocated the helipad first. This is just a different view that kind of shows some of the different parts. As I said, the green is the future where imaging will be. The customer hub where patients are going to come in to get medical records, registration, those kind of things, lab and things like that are going to be right there where that customer hub is. That's the main entrance. And then the blue, the light blue is the overall emergency department. And you can see the mudroom there with the separate entrance. And then it also shows kind of down in the right-hand corner where our observation and behavioral health area will be. This is just another view that's a little more detailed. It shows a little bit more breakdown in the rooms and things like that. And then we do have a quick video that we're going to show you, and I'm hoping that it's going to work.
I would say the overarching theme for the project, having patient access in emergency center. It's not just an emergency department. They really wanted to drive home the point that this is for the patients and the public as well. It's access through the front door, the new front door to the hospital.
So some of the things that you should immediately feel as a community member is that, again, patient access was forefront of our minds. So when you do come to use our services, you're going to see that there's a lot of services that are closer to the front door right away.
One of the challenges with the current ED, it's really enclosed. There's a lot of columns and walls and other obstructions. It's not great visibility from one side to another. In the new design, it's open. I think just the visual communication available to staff is really going to enhance their ability to provide care for the public.
We use our design build team to help us with that forecast model. They took our data of the patients that we've been seeing before the pandemic, and then of course after the pandemic, and then also to see how we're growing as a community. We work really closely with the city administration to see, what thoughts are there for expansion of Worcester. And Worcester is a very busy community, and we are seeing that growth, and we're going to continue to see that growth. So when we built this expansion, it was with that in mind. We would have been able to flex our space as we grow, when we see more patients. We didn't want to build the ER with just what we're seeing now as far as growth, but the ability to expand if we need to, as far as using the rooms in a different way, to use additional rooms. But also we didn't want to build this gigantic building that was just going to sit there. So we really did think about that flexibility and serving the community, so this building can be usable for the foreseeable future and then be able to adapt.
Okay. So I just have a couple pictures to share, and then I will turn it back over to Scott. So this is what it currently looks like. It's in front of our patient tower, kind of facing Winter Street. It is just one story, and where you can see the second story, that's just the chillers and stuff that sit on top of the building. Oh, there it is. And this just shows, this is the ambulance, the squad entrance. So it'll go in and around, and squads will have, much better flow throughout. This just shows kind of where the front of the building is, kind of by the main entrance. This is an overview of what it's going to look like, and where, so that it'll match the building well. But what the circle in red is when I told you there's a patient connector, that's where the elevators will go up and over and come down in the back hallway of the hospital, so that patients aren't taken through the main hallways. This just kind of shows where starting to see like how the parking lots and the traffic flow is going to go around this area. And by the way, we're anticipating that this is going to be open by the end of February. Am I okay to say that?
Yeah,
Yes.
fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. So yeah, we should be open. It's coming fast. So, and this is just a picture of the overall look of what it's going to look like from the street when it's done. And one more picture, and this is actually where the main entrance is. This is just a rendering of what it's going to look like. This is the main entrance when you walk in, where you go in to do all the registration, where it says 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is what it looks like in real life from the drawing. And then this is what the ER waiting room is. If you have been to our emergency room lately, you know this is a huge improvement over what we currently have for an emergency department waiting room. And this is what it looks like so far. The other area is a little bit farther ahead in the construction process. And then I'm just going to turn it over to Scott.
Thanks, Shelly. So we wanted to show you some of the architectural renderings and where it's at right now. We're told that the parking lot will be paved by the end of October, so out front. So it'll start looking like a finished product here very soon. And some of the spaces you look at, so we have the ability to scale up to 29 rooms. We have 20 now. So that gives us some capacity to flex. We also had put negative air pressure in a lot of different areas. So our waiting room now is probably the size of this corner of the room. So it looks like it's an elongated waiting room, somewhat of a hallway, but that whole space is negative air pressure. so that we make sure that you don't want to go, when I go to a doctor's office, I resist it, like maybe many of you. The first thought is I don't want to get sick by something else. So what we wanted to do is to make sure that we create the space as safe as possible if you need to go to the ER. I'd probably be bold enough to say that all of us at some point before we finish our life journey will be in our ER. So if you live in this community, you will utilize the ER. And I unfortunately have had to use it a couple of times myself for doing intelligent things. So what I wanted to show you is this picture of our campus now, and it's amazing what they can do with AI and all this. So this is a rendering with the new building, assuming it's done, even though it was based on our marketing design department doing it. So even though we're a medium-sized community hospital, there is a lot of access points coming into our building. And it can be confusing for a consumer, like, where do I go? Did everybody in our chain tell you the appropriate door, the appropriate entrance, all those things? So we are not going to paint the buildings these colors, but we are gonna make zones of color so that we have scripting that's consistent. So you are going to go see the Wooster Heart Group, Dr. Afori. You will go, you will follow the green signs to the 3rd floor so that you can get to the right building so that it's clear where to go, as opposed to now we say, well, you just go to the center elevators, hang a right, go up to the 3rd. So we're trying to use this project as a reason, as an excuse to be better at wayfinding on our campus, because it's been identified as a huge need. So anybody who's come into our hospital, except for the 3 physicians, probably are confused, but maybe they are too. Where do I go? Because, as the hospital grows, you move your front door around the campus as you renovate. So it can be quite confusing. So we are embarking on this too. So we're going to do it by subtle color on signage. We're going to do it by flags or pool wraps, so you're pulling into the lot that has the purple light pools and those kind of things. So we're excited, and hopefully that'll improve that. So one thing that we're doing different now is and now for a few years now with the Angela Beat, we're trying to be more intentional and asking our community to be part of what we're doing. This ER project, arguably our current ER project, has been in the same relative location for 75 years. So what I'd like you to think of is, by investing with us in this project in your hospital, your investment will live for decades to come. So we are providing naming opportunities in this project. I'm participating. Obviously the semester's participated. So the naming opportunities, Angela has materials and can help you, Angela Rincon, as part of your group. She'd be glad to talk to you. These naming opportunities can be funded over a multiple year period of time. So if you say, well, I don't have that kind of money, but I want to invest, you can actually attain attachment points if you look at it over multiple years. So we have many opportunities to name. Some folks say, well, why does our public hospital need to ask for money? And, I would say, one, we get no tax revenue from the city of Worcester. We have no debt. So we've tried to be frugal over the years, and we're investing like 34 million into this project. Our board's allowing us to do this. It's taken our reserves down to 5 months cash on hand. It's so important for us to remain independent and locally governed, because when you lose local control, you lose some of the services. And I've said it before, folks up in Cleveland, we need the large health systems and we need them throughout the state. And we're really blessed. But when they control your local health system, services will change. So the folks on our board, they live here. Dr. Reynolds lives here, and they're very passionate that we can continue to provide all that we can in Worcester, Ohio, and Wayne County. So by helping investing in this project with us, you were part of that. You help us do that. And these are hard to see, but there are a lot of naming opportunities if you'd like to participate. Shelly already spilled the tea. So no, it's so 2 dates that you want to mark down. So we're going to have open house for the community on February 14th. So that is just around the corner, whether I like it or not. But give us something to look forward to in the beautiful month of February in Ohio. So we will have to buy 10,000 booties, but we are gonna have it, because I've been, said, you're really doing this in February? And the answer is yes, because our project will be done and ready and tested. I can't tell Dr. Wright and Shelly, we're not gonna open for 5 weeks because I wanna have a good weather day so we can have an open house, but because this is a community asset, a community resource, we don't feel right not giving the community a chance to see it. And see it, you know, and you can't see it when it's operational, you have to see it before it's open. And then our targeted opening, and Shelly says I have to be there, but it's February 25th at 4 a.m. So we are gonna cut over. And Shelly has like 8 or 9 process improvement teams that are all gearing up with everything we need to do to get ready. One team is solely focused on the day of. And there is so many folks that we need to notify, and it's a very complex move, and I'm really impressed with our teams and how they've embraced this. But please mark your calendars. We hope to have a great participation in that event. And then just the final thoughts here. You know, this is a large project. It's one of our largest. So the outpatient pavilion was a large project. This is a really critical project for our community. And if you walk in, if you've been in our existing ER and you walk into the new ER, the word you're gonna say is, wow. It is just so much different. Will make you proud, I hope, as a local citizen here. We need to continue to invest in our campus. I mean, we sock away our depreciation expense each year so that we're saving up so that we can buy things when they need replaced. So that's been our philosophy, and it's worked. Community hospitals that are no longer in existence, they grew by debt. And what happens when you grow by debt is you end up spending your cash too. So we've tried to be disciplined over the years that this is how much cash we're generating next year. This is what we got to limit our capital budget. So it forces us to really prioritize. And it's why some of our spaces that are not patient facing are still 1950s vintage and whatnot. So it really is a philosophy of the hospital. And I already mentioned, chances are somebody you know or you will be in our ER. So this is such an important investment for us, and this will allow us to continue to serve the community and really provide the top quality care that we have grown over the years as a team. So I'm going to pause. I told her I had 5-2, so I have a few minutes for questions, and any question I'll bring Shelly up to answer. But
Scott, thanks for coming.
sure.
What's the geographical reach of Wooster Hospital now in terms of where you draw patients?
It does depend a little bit on service, but we routinely, so we do heat maps, zip code maps, and where our patients are coming from. We very much draw from Ashland east, Millersburg north. Arguably Route 57 is a barrier for us. And I don't know if you get on the east side of Route 57, you're thinking Akron, you're thinking different locality. We do draw southern Medina County, Seville and whatnot. And, you know, that's our primary reach. For certain services, like folks will drive 5 counties to stay a patient of Dr. Arfori. So it depends on the service, but that's our typical reach. Angela, you're not allowed to ask a question.
Probably gonna correct you, Scott.
Can you talk about the size of the building and also about our chest pain and stroke renovation?
Yeah, so, sorry, Shelly, but the building is 40,000 square feet, of which 10,000 we purposely built shell. And, you know, with cutting my career in finance, you're like, boy, that's a lot of money in shell, but if you're gonna do it, you wanna do it right for the future. And if our goal is to migrate out of the 1950s building from patient care, migrate some of our service out of the 1970s building, you have to stage it with this, and it does not make sense to have imaging on the other side of the ER. So we decided we had to build the shell then, but it's 40,000 square feet. And the second part of the question was, oh, yeah, so, you know, the hospital is, and I'll do this. I'm really proud of the clinical team, and under Shelly's leadership. So we are part of the OSU's telestroke network, and there's like 39 hospitals in that network. And we routinely are number one in the quarterly data of and our squads are great in Lake County. So, our squads are connected technology wise. So if you're having a stroke, we know you're having a stroke. We call stroke team right away. So our ER door to needle time, the clot busting drug, is always, not always, but like the vast majority of the quarters, we're number one in their 39 hospital network that is supported by a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day neurologist team at OSU. So, but the care is delivered here with their guidance, with a telestroke robot. And then we're chest pain accredited, and we do interventional cardiology. I know I've been asked in the last few years, when are you guys going to start doing catheterizations? Well, we've been doing catheterizations forever. We've been doing interventional cardiology for quite a while, where you can use a balloon to open a vessel or put in a stent. So that's really with the great cardiology team that really Dr. Forias will push forward. Did I answer that? All right. And Angela has goodies that she's willing to pass out if you want to take it with you. I think Dee told me I wasn't allowed to sell from the platform, so I'm probably right on the edge, but we'd be willing to give you. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Scott and Shelly, I appreciate you for your taking the time to speak with us today. We have a plaque made for us by the Village Network. It has the Rotary seal on one side and the four-way test on the other. And I have to say, growing up in Wooster, Ohio, I'm really proud. I'm proud of that hospital. Thank you very much, and we stand adjourned.
Thanks, Jeff.